Okay, so today we are going to be installing an automatic watering valve on an 80-gallon Utility Hog Waterer. On the top of that, there is going to be a dimple that is roughly 10.5 inches from the center of your cap. What you need to do is take an 1.1 drill bit, like the one provided here, or a hole saw, and you're going to mark off on that dimple and drill an 1.1 hole in there to assemble your water valve. So once you have your 1.1 hole, there's going to be a kit S157206. That's the automatic watering valve. In it, you're going to get the valve itself. That's what shuts the water on and off. Then there's going to be a pair of reducers here, one of which is going to have the female fitting that your hose is going to fit into, and the other one is a reducer that we use to adapt to the valve that's included. So when you take the valve out, it'll look like this. There's a top and a bottom to it. The bottom, this piece, is the valve that actually opens and closes when you're filling with water. And then this is the top side that we're going to attach to. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your 1 by 3/4 reducer and screw that into there. Once you have that seated, I would suggest using a channel lock to tighten it up, but for the sake of the video, you take it and you place it in here on the inside of your 1.1 hole, and then you come with your other piece from the top and you screw it together. And once that is screwed together, there's going to be one other washer that's included. It's included and it goes on the inside of there, and that's what seats against your male hose end and makes sure that this valve does not leak. For our 80-gallon Utility Hog Waterer, there are two options for tank de-icers. The first option, the submergible bucket de-icer, that is the one that fits in the drinker or trough area section. To do that, we have a kit for you to use, an S157520 base heater cord protector, which comes with the tube and hardware to install it. What that does is that goes on the inside of your tank to protect the cable and allows the cable to exit out of the top for you to plug into, and that's what keeps your trough water from freezing. That is a kit option. The second kit option is a tank heater that goes on the inside of your tank. That is the larger of the two heaters, and all three of those items are separate part numbers. So if you need that plus the cord protector, that's two part numbers, and then this is also a separate one. In the case where you want to use the tube protector and we already have a float valve installed at the top of the tank, you are going to have to drill an additional hole for the tube to be routed. Now this is 2.5 inches off of the edge here where your cap goes on. I have marked a second hole that I offset a couple of inches for this tube. Now this is an 1/8 and an inch hole. This one is a minimum of 1 5/8 or all the way up to 1 3/4, whatever hole size you have on hand. You are also going to have to drill a secondary hole inside of the tank that is also 1 5/8 for this section, for the threaded end of your tube to go into. So after you have your 1 5/8 hole or 1 3/4 hole drilled on the top, my suggestion is to dry fit the tube in there and mark off on the bottom side where your hole needs to be for the two to line up. Now after you do this, you're going to have plastic shavings just like I do. You need to make sure that you're cleaning them all out so it doesn't clog your valve at the bottom of the tank. Okay, so after you have your second hole drilled, and we came from the top just to make sure that they're both in alignment, your threads are going to be exposed on the bottom. Now on top of having this nut, there's also going to be a washer that you put on the inside, and then from this side you can thread that piece on. But before we do that, this is the tank de-icer that we use in the trough section. It fits just in here in the bottom, and then the provided cable that comes with it, you are going to feed that through and out the top. That way none of your cables are at pig height and you can avoid them chewing on any cables. So now that we have both options installed, one is the float valve with the hose attached, and the other one is the line protector that goes down, and that is your trough de-icer. The last option we have for heaters is just a standard tank de-icer. It comes in two parts. With this being a plastic tank, you want to make sure that you are not putting the tank heater element directly on any plastic or it'll melt through your tank. So if you run the cable through the center, And you have a piece here, it loops into there, and then you loop it on the outside and it just pops in. Now when that tank sets on the bottom, your tank heater element will be suspended in your water and prevent anything from melting. This we can just set down in the center, and the cord just comes out of the top where your top fill cap is. So when it comes to the water trough on your Utility Hog Waterer, and you want to adjust the water level in it so that it's either raised or lowered, on the inside of your tank there is a little black rubber stopper, and that's what's used to shut your water on and off. Now on top of that there is a very small nut. On that nut, to increase your water level inside the trough, you're going to loosen it or bring the nut towards you, and that's going to make the water go higher. And to lower it, or lower the water level, you're going to tighten that nut down against the rubber stopper. All of that is hidden behind this. This just threads on there, but that is a filter element to keep any debris from clogging up your stopper.